Hello, artist Charles Wolf here. Let's get right to the painting. Today's video will be a little bit different than normal. I will be showing you some basic color mixing for beginning painters. If you've never painted before, this is a fantastic video to check out, to watch, perhaps even rewatch, so you can get some basic ideas, some basic tips and tricks under your belt on how to mix some colors together beyond having to buy every single color that you want. So if you only have 5 colors, red, yellow, blue, black, and white, you can use this video to create some fantastic pieces of art. I am using some cardboard there as my palette so you can see the colors better. My regular palette has a lot of colors kind of dried onto it already, and so it's harder to see the mixing. The first color I'm going to show you how to mix is a light blue. I'm going to start first by showing you what a pure cobalt blue looks like on the canvas there. Again, that's cobalt blue. Then I'm going to add a little bit of white to it, just a little bit. Mix that together by pulling straight down, and then I'll put the next swatch right next to the first one so you can see that it's a little bit lighter. I will move my hand out of the way in just a second. I didn't realize my hand was blocking the camera when I started this, but I did figure it out. Adding white to any color will make it a lighter shade of that color. The more white you add, the lighter it will be. But be careful. If you add white to every single color that you mixed, it may give your painting a washed out look. That being said, when painting skies, they're very pale, so it's necessary to add white. Again, each time I put a new swatch up on the canvas there, I've added a little bit more white to it. This last swatch of blue that I'm putting up here is almost pure white with the tiniest dab of blue added. You can barely see it actually showing up against the white background of the canvas. This light blue color is fantastic for painting clouds, especially ones that are very high up in the atmosphere. After cleaning my brush off on some paper towel, I will now show you how to mix a very natural looking green that will be perfect for painting trees or grass. Taking my cadmium yellow medium, I'm going to add to it the tiniest bit of black. Now why does this work? Well, because black has a little bit of blue in it, so Mars black plus the cadmium yellow, yellow plus the black, which has blue in it, makes a nice olive green. Before I begin to mix those, however, here is a nice pure swatch of cadmium yellow so you can see it. I will now add the tiniest bit of black. Black is a very powerful color. You only need a little bit to go a long way. So I'm going to add just the littlest bit of black and then put it right next to it, and you can see I get a very rich green that looks fantastic and very realistic for summer and late autumn paintings. Of course, all of these colors can be used in other types of paintings like abstracts, cityscapes, what have you, but I like using them in landscapes. Each time I'm adding a little bit more of the black to it, and you can see how much darker it's getting. You only need a little bit, it will go a long way. Notice that I'm dipping the corner of the brush into the paint and then using downward strokes to blend it together. Each time I add a little bit more of the black and it becomes darker. Black to any color will make it a darker shade. You may be wondering, why not just mix blue and yellow? Because I know blue and yellow makes green. And that's true, blue and yellow do make green, but that's going to be a very bluish green. I'll show you in a moment what I'm talking about. However, if you want an earthier looking green, black and yellow are the way to go. Here I'm trying to show that there is a shade of yellow between the yellow and the very first swatch of olive green. Here is what blue-green looks like. Take some cobalt blue and add in some cadmium yellow medium. Here's a pure swatch of blue again. And then I'm going to take the corner of the brush, dip it down, and pull straight down, mixing together, using both sides of my brush, flipping back and forth to mix that together. And there you can see that we do indeed have green, but it's almost the same color as that cobalt blue. Adding some more of the yellow, we get more of a mid-tone green. In landscape paintings, this green can be used for distant hills, for your trees, grass. There's all kinds of different ways you can use it. Think about this for a moment. Warm colors are going to come forward, and cool colors are going to recede into the distance. If you're painting, say, a mountain in the far back, and you want it to be a green mountain, then perhaps use a green that is very close to blue, because when you look at a mountain in a photograph, you'll notice that they tend to get more blue the farther away they are from you. If you are painting highlights on trees, then perhaps use a green that is closer to yellow, as you can see I'm making here, especially if they are closer to you. I'm going to take some of this Neanderthal red and place a pure swatch of it onto the canvas. If you're painting, say, flowers, you may want more of a pink. Simply add some more white to the red. It will give you kind of a pastel look. So a little bit of white will lighten it up just a bit. Red's a pretty powerful color, so you may need to use more white than you did when you were mixing with the blue. Each time you add a little bit more white, it will become lighter, slightly. The very last swatch should be almost pure white with just a touch of red in it. Can you see how they're getting lighter the farther to the right I go, as I increase the amount of white? One color that I forgot to include in this painting video is gray. It's a color that I use quite often when I'm painting stormy skies, so you can check out any of my other videos to see how I do that. But really quickly, it's just black with a little bit of white added, and the more white you add, the lighter it will be. Sometimes it's fun to add a little bit of blue to it, especially if you're doing storm clouds. I find that that is very effective. Mixing together the Neanderthal red with the cadmium yellow medium will give you a nice hot orange, as you can see here. If I add more yellow to it, I'll get a more of a yellowish orange, and of course, if I add more red, I will get a reddish orange. Some artists like to mix all their paint on the palette and then apply it to the canvas. Other artists like to put the paint onto the canvas and then blend it actually on the canvas. I tend to go back and forth between these two approaches, and you can mix together the paint very thoroughly before you put it onto the canvas, or you can leave it only partially mixed and get some very neat effects with the yellow kind of running in between the red, and you can actually see the two colors separately, just combined slightly. Another great color to know how to mix is brown. Brown's not that difficult to mix together. A great way of doing it is to add orange plus blue. Now, how did I know to add orange plus blue? Well, red and yellow are primary colors, and blue is also a primary color. Red and yellow make orange. So if you mix together two primary colors and make the secondary color, red plus yellow makes the orange, orange is the secondary color, and then add the primary color that was not used to make that secondary color, blue was not used to make orange, you can create brown by mixing those together. So add the secondary color plus the primary color that was not used to make that secondary color together to create brown. Here I am demonstrating that you can add more of the yellow or more of the red to tint your brown. You can get a nice reddish brown with adding more red, or more of an earthy yellowish brown by adding more yellow to your brown mixture. Of course, you can always add black to something to darken it up.